why the prequel trilogy has become Star Wars' best era and how other eras can do the same. The Star Wars saga is divided into several storytelling eras, and nearly 20 years after its conclusion, the prequel trilogy is still the best era of the Star Wars timeline. Although the prequels have received heavy criticism, they have also garnered a passionate fan base, leading many to reevaluate the movies since their release. Much of this can be attributed to the prequel era itself, which is ripe for quality stories thanks to strong characters, compelling conflicts, and detailed world-building. The other Star Wars eras have different qualities that make them stand apart, both in the current Disney canon and the original Star Wars expanded universe, now known as Legends. However, the prequel era remains special because it is part of the Star Wars movies, plus another advantage that has made it better with time. The other eras can learn from what made the Star Wars prequel trilogy era so successful to make their stories even better. Tie-ins like The Clone Wars and The Bad Batch have enhanced the prequel story. The Star Wars prequel trilogy laid a solid foundation, but Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and Star Wars, The Bad Batch made the gaps between films just as enthralling. Not only was The Clone Wars highly entertaining, but I remember how satisfying it was to learn about characters and concepts not fully explored in the movies. Now the story of the prequels feels more satisfying and makes me want to dive further into the books, comics, video games, etc. Knowing the aftermath of Star Wars, Episode II, Revenge of the Sith, and how the galaxy reacted to the rise of the Empire gives greater closure to the prequel era. The Bad Batch is set directly after the prequel trilogy, but still enhances its story. Knowing the aftermath of Star Wars, Episode II, Revenge of the Sith, and how the galaxy reacted to the rise of the Empire gives greater closure to the prequel era. The Bad Batch also starts like an 8th season of the Clone Wars, before shifting into its own style, building off its predecessor while transitioning into the next era of the Star Wars timeline. Other Star Wars eras need stories like these shows too. While there are many Star Wars shows besides the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, they don't do as much to enhance their respective eras. The closest equivalent is Star Wars Rebels, which covers the beginning of the Rebel Alliance in the 5 years leading up to the Star Wars original trilogy. Most other Star Wars shows focus more on their individual stories rather than expanding the timeline, but one series has offered a glimpse at what could be. Star Wars, Tales of the Empire, while largely set close to the prequel trilogy, also features episodes set around the same time as shows like Star Wars Rebels and The Mandalorian. The 3D animation allows Star Wars to feel consistent with its live-action projects, while gaining the benefits of animation, allowing different Star Wars eras more potential with their stories. For now, the Star Wars prequel trilogy remains the franchise's best era until other eras learn from its success.